So the question is, does LOSoNe run Maverick? Yes, they do. They also run an Ace. Ace is a nice backup pick because then if it's not basement, then you can actually just... Oh, it's triple hard breach. Wow, that's interesting. Okay, so it's triple hard breach. So they want to get everything open and they're bringing 4 nades. Maybe some flashes, maybe some breaches or claymores. We'll have to have a look at what everyone's running here. Oh, it'll be 6 nades because Maverick has nades, doesn't he? Maverick doesn't get map. Oh, he's running flashes. Never mind. Excuse me. Blech. So we've got 6 flashes, 4 nades, 2 claymores, soft breach, sledge only. So sledge dies, floors aren't really getting opened. So we have an extended basement defense. So this here, like a lot of casters and a lot of people in the community would call this castle roaming. This is not a roaming castle. If this is actually an extension of the defense. It's a lot of castle barricades, kill holes, reinforced walls. Maybe the hatch is reinforced as well. Above him, behind him in the corner. At the end of the day, this is an extension of the bomb site. It is an extended defense. This castle probably has a safe way to get back to site, and he's going to make it as difficult as possible for the attackers to take control of open area, or supposedly. Oh, good lord. So we have one guy in the elevator, one guy playing back behind, towards corner hatch, and because of the way that this setup has been done, there is no pressure in open area. There's no pressure. Sorry, no pressure in open. There's no pressure under the skylight. There's no real pressure inside of archives or tellers. And even though there's kill holes all over the place, this castle is immediately been fucking banged through the wall, so he's out of the picture. And the poor Oryx that has taken his position inside of open area is now fearing for his life. Basically, it comes to the point now where the player that is used to having all of these kill holes, used to playing this setup and this strategy, is dead. And you've replaced it now with someone that's not particularly familiar with all the angles that have been formed. This is why it's really important on your teams that everybody has a go at doing the setup of other people. If you ever have the time to do that, or you ever can convince your players to do that, because it's really fucking hard to convince players to do custom game things these days. Essentially, you need everyone to know the setup and the strategy behind everyone else's positions, and you get to positions like this where Wizard, he's not holding any angles or any lines of sight. Where we saw Cons when he was alive a little bit earlier on, he's peeking all of his holes, he's making new holes, and then he gets wall banged. So essentially, that the whole purpose of this extended defense has been muted. It's been essentially nullified just through a little bit of pressure. By RHZ, or RHZ stood outside here. So I always say this, I'm going to say this again. If you're on attack and there's a castle barricade, it's there for a reason. The defense very, very seldomly put down things without any kind of forethought. Get rid of it. Open it. Do something to remove it immediately. Look, the sooner you remove a castle barricade, the more beneficial it is for you for an attack. Because as the round progresses, people have used their grenades, their breach charges, their ash launchers. People have died. And that opportunity to open that castle barricade may be long gone. So always open castle barricades as soon as you see them. So that's good. 1 for 1. So it's 1 for 1 and map control. If we kind of scoot back to this point here, we have LOSoNe fighting here, and you have the Iana here. meePY is pushing up on the right side. So this is pretty good. I think if Sledge was... No, actually, no, this is fine. I think it's just really unfortunate for LOSoNe, but really good on Muzi's side. He isolates a 1 versus 1, and he knows that he's being pushed from beepers from elevator hallway. But the problem here is he's not quite sure exactly where the push is coming from. He's ripping a nitro, which makes a lot of noise. He's focused on throwing his nitro, so he's not quite hearing properly that meePY is sneaking up literally next to him. So it's map control and a 2-for-1 trade. A long con trade, but it's 2-for-1 and map control. So really good from Lost so far. So it's become really commonplace now to clear out the server stairs by dropping the hatch behind him and pushing this door and pincering from the door above. But given where we can see the silhouettes, got one guy on the stairs above him, one guy all the way over here, one guy on the hatch, Hibana's up here on this hatch, and I think this is an Iana clone coming through. Yep. So I'll have to see if this is what they want. Ooh, hold on. I'm just going to pause it real quickly here, and you can see the potential lurking danger right here as you have, I think this is Psycho stood right here on the opposite side of the wall. So potentially this could have been a humongous flank from Psycho if he'd actually gone for it at that point. But there you go, okay. Unlucky timing on the flashbang. Like I said, a lot of teams these days are dropping the hatch and pincering at the same time. But no, unfortunately, they went for just a flash dump and a push, and Pino peeks at the right time. meePY gets Psycho on the stairs at the same time on the opposite side of the map. But yeah, interesting. At this point in time, it really does fall on how they play their individual positions, NIP, because Wizard and Pino are miles apart from one another. It really comes down to individual clutch performance here. Ooh. Good coverage from meePY. I'd probably fault NIP here. We'll see it on the replay, but this is really, really slow from NIP. So you see that the Pino peaks here, and meePY gets a 1v1. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Nearly 4 seconds is when Oryx goes for the peak after that, which is way too late to go for a peak or a trade or a push or anything like that. So far I've seen a lot of hesitation from NIP to make the riskier play. Siege these days, you can't win it off of defaults. You have to start making risks. You have to start making the winning play. And often the winning play it can feel uncomfortable for certain players that aren't used to taking risks, that aren't used to playing a little bit aggressively when duty calls, essentially. And that really is what defines some of the greatest players in the game right now. They're willing to take those risks even if they fail a few of them. It's better to say, "Oh well, I tried," than "Or what if I had?" Than "What if I had tried?" You know.
You're gambling every time you leave it down to a very late push as well, because had 1 or 2 things changed in that last 10 seconds, that would have been an NIP round again. So I like to see LOSoNe try to build on their earlier success.
I'm not a fan of that mirror.
Very early on in that window.
So even if they shoot a line of holes across the CEO wall facing skylight, Thermite can actually put his thermite charge on this wall here, and that will blow open a hole in this part of the reinforced wall. Alternatively, considering Loss last round ran triple hard breach, this mirror window is like Ralph on the bus. Haha, I'm in danger. Fortunately though for NIP, Loss have changed their entire lineup off of triple hard breach for a Monty push instead. So the mirror window probably will survive a little bit longer than it should do. But given the lineup from NIP, the NIP faced the previous round, this is a risky mirror window.
Area, and it took them a lot of time to really push up because there was an extra player playing a side open area for the side of NIP. So we're inside the action phase now. Dash gets rid of the cam nicely, bringing the Nook on the board, and well, you talk about Nook's impact. You've got 2 nades in the back pocket. You can completely hide yourself from any cameras that are in and around the map. Let's see if Nook is able to pick up 1 or 2 frags in this one.
Okay. That's through the hatch, I think. It was obvious that Lost were going to enter basement pretty quickly. You had 2 drones inside a server, so... This is why it's really important to roam earlier on in the round, to hunt drones for the first 10 or so seconds. Or even in the prep phase if you have time as an individual. Just seeing a drone or knowing a drone is in a room is a big identifier. But yeah, this is going to be like a Monty push or rush. And here's where the castle barricades start to heavily work against NIP. Basically, Wizard has to go huge, or it's like GG. So I'm going to assume that there's no barricades at the bottom of main stairs either. Yeah, there's no barricades at the bottom of main stairs. So whenever you're defending open area, it's of the utmost pivotal importance that you barricade garage just to stop this. We've had Nook now in the meta for coming up to like a year, maybe a little bit longer. And we've seen this time and time again that any map where you can enter a basement pretty stealthily, Nook will always make her way up his staircase. And if you're not barricading doors to force Nook to make a noise... Yo, SPR me, thank you very much for the sub. Thank you for the Twitch Prime. If you're not barricading up these doors, you're not placing goo mines, you're not placing beepers, you're not placing banshees, a gajillion things that the defense has access to, the least you can do is barricade the door. Because Nook exists, Nook will lurk, she will come up the stairs, and she will shoot you when you are least expecting it. Pew pew pew. And now all Dash has to do now is fuck off. He's gotten his kill. He's created a ton of pressure on the main stairs. The guy inside of Tellers now has to be hyper focused on not only in front of him to skylight where he knows the enemies are, but now he has to watch his sides as well because there's a Nook. Like I said before, Wizard had to go huge to stop the plant, but he's dead, so the plant's going to happen now. Pino's scared as fuck for where the Nook is. And it's a great angle from Psycho, but he's not going to get anything from it. Or he shouldn't, at least.
Against the full 5, LOSoNe plus the Monty. Yeah, this is going to be a difficult one. The Monty will spot out Pino, so the any element of surprise is now gone. Psycho will look to try and get a backstab at this point with 20 seconds, so we go critical. It is all but over. C4 detonates, nothing arrives from it. He'll give himself an avenue to get back into sight.
That's a nice shot.
Pino gets one below it. Maya shuts that one down, and well, 1 versus 4. Bearing down Monty shield as well. It's all but over. Psycho.
So they definitely did try and do some kind of dual retake here, which is perfectly fine. I think pushing into the little office there as a double push probably isn't the play. It's a tiny room with a kill hole designed by your team to be as small and as inconspicuous as possible, meaning that it's very hard to get back through the rotate that's placed on the other side of this pillar without making a big mess of it, and a doorway. and a doorway that not only leads into like the middle of a room, as in like it's not in a corner of a room, so you only have to look, you know, kind of like sweepingly to the right. It opens up into the middle of the room where you can be shot from the left, the right, the back, the corner. It's also open areas, so there's desks, chairs, office equipment. It's a giant room full of anywhere where the attackers can hide. I personally would have suggested Skylight retake. We saw before when Psycho's peeking, just before he throws his nitro here, like he gets to Skylight unmolested. He's perfectly fine. Yeah, he sees the Monty, sure. But at this point, like, I'm calling, like, Pino, like, let's go, bro. Let's take Skylight. Let's take it from this angle. Because at least you know, because the attackers have come from this direction, there's loads of big holes everywhere. There's more ways to get into the room. And more often than not, the hiding spots are much fewer in Kitchen. You have in the corner, behind the bomb. Okay, there's 2 hiding spots because you've got a bunch of castle barricades up. It limits the crossfires from the remaining of the attack team, so... Hindsight is always a bitch, hindsight is always 20/20, and hindsight is pretty much always spot on perfect. And there's no real way that NIP could know this, but if you're ever in this situation and you can walk into Skylight, I'd probably do a retake from Skylight.
Psycho will look to try and get a backstab, but it's over. Psycho might have found heroics, but
And 20 seconds with both players.
Back to basement.
The one to peek. 9 times out of 10, the player holding the more shallow angle, which was, of course, Maya would win that one. Look at that, 5-0 after 2 rounds.
I mean, of course, you got to think about that in that situation with that Kaid close on to that quad wall, the player holding it like win on land for these players, so there isn't that open for a hatch. So basically,
So they fobbed off the castle strat, and they're now going with an echo strat. So from the lineup alone, you can see that this is a reasonable denial strategy. It's understandable. I can see where it's coming from. You're going to deny... Oopsie daisy. Oh, thanks. Thanks, YouTube. They can deny 2 of the hatches. They can deny plant with echo and smoke. Aruni, excuse me, is the slight odd one out. I can see maybe placing it on this wall, the door, and the site wall if you wanted to prevent or try and stop a server push. Seeing as NIP quite like Pino on server stairs, having a gate on the server stairs up and down would both be quite beneficial as well. It would give Pino's shotgun that extra little bit of oomph if someone had to walk through the gate at the bottom of the stairs to try and pinch him. But I do see this as potentially the odd choice in this lineup. Wumai is always great in every lineup. You can basically put the discs wherever the fuck you want. He's got beepers. Yeah, he's very good.
when they see a hard breach or hear a hard breach out on it, step off it, destroys it instantly and burns away a lot of time. It's a very smart little trick, but it's a little bit more difficult to get that to work in practice or in actual rounds.
Alright, so we're going for another extended defense.
It's pretty difficult to actually make it work because a single player in dirt really disrupts that.
It does. It really does. I hate agreeing with you. Actually, I'm going to change the narrative here. You're right with it. That's good. You're right with this one. So good observation.
I've
As
broken
low-
your will to being positive. Let's go.
I'm a nice guy. I tell myself that. But I tell myself that.
Allegedly, you're a nice.
Mai is already on the top floor. Psycho playing inside.
No congestion upstairs, so LOSoNe, excuse me, can just kind of steamroll the way through here. There is no kite on this wall, which means it can just get opened up immediately, so now Wizard has to contest with 2 angles. Anyone on the main stairs is going to kind of be trapped there, or they have to fuck off because they can't come up. And now the player inside of open area has one option. Drop the hatch, that's all. Hello, 004. Basically, with a couple of... Hello from Turkey. Hello. Basically, with just a couple of hard breach charges, Dash is going to open the wall and make Wizard's position pretty hard. He's essentially driven a wedge straight down the middle of what NIP tried to establish here. If they had a Mew or a Cade for underneath on the floor, that'd be really good. But nope, the wall gets opened, and now he's trapped there. Well, trapped there.
Happened just yesterday. Things aren't really in dire straits just yet. But Wizard missing that drone. You can't really focus on it now. You got to focus on the player, and the player's going to come, and he misses the chance to do some damage.
And he's gone. And he's been spotted on a drone. So that's that's probably 4 reinforcements, because they probably did the elevator library walls as well. So that's 4 reinforcements, a shield, a few discs, all wasted. The hatches are already pre-opened by NIP, so it's not like there's crazy amounts of utility wasted from loss. So here's the interesting one: is the Aruni gates on the hatches. So how does the Aruni gates on the hatches work? Basically, if you stand on the table in server or the table in CCTV, the Aruni gate above will actually stop. It'll disappear because it thinks it's about to let a defender walk through it unharmed. So you wait for a thermite charge to get placed on the hatch, a bunch of Habana pellets, and all you do is you drop off the desk, the Aruni gate reactivates, zaps all the electronics off of the hatch, and there you go. You've essentially like bandit tricked. It's good for one use. If the team spots it, it's pretty much useless. But it does put a lot of pressure on the attackers if you're abusing it. It works very well on the server hatch, more than it does the CCTV hatch. But it does mean that you're kind of stuck there like a statue for the whole time. But it means that at any point you're trying to open the hatch, they can just jump off and then Bob's your uncle. It is counted by Maverick and it is counted by Hibana. It is very good against Thermite. It's okay versus Ace. Habana at the end of the day, she could just shoot 2 pellets on the hatch, wait, shoot 2 pellets on the hatch. Oh. And that's the unfortunate reality of playing that staircase without a shield. Or the shield's gone, at least. If the attackers want to take server stairs, they will take server stairs very efficiently. It's been playing server stairs with a shield, Wamais, Jaeger devices, the whole works. It's been done longer than I've been a player. Or it was being done, excuse me, when I was a player, and even further back than then. It's one of the most common things to do on Bank. Every team's practiced it 1 billion times. Taking server stairs is easy. Holding server stairs is very hard. It requires a lot of risk. It requires a lot of aggression. It requires you to just get lucky and catch people out. Like on the first round, when Pino swung and got a double spray down with his SMG-11. It requires a little bit of hoo-ha to get it done, but at the end of the day, if you just kind of wait there for the nades and the flashes to rain down on you, you are going to get pushed and you are going to get killed. What? Hello? Hello? That's a bit awkward. 1v3 Echo, definitely possible. That's unlucky. Timeout, yeah. I was going to say, I'm timing out if I'm NIP. So, I proposed the question, has this been as one-sided as the 7-0 shows? And so far, the answer is a resounding yes. Across the board, NIP have 6 kills in 3 rounds. That means they are killing, on average, 2 people a round, which means they are losing 3v0 at the end of the round. It's more than likely 3 people alive at the end of the round for loss, which is a resounding, well, stomp so far. And even on the assist side of things, Pino is the only one with an assist. So obviously Pino's doing a lot of work. And we know that Pino got 2 of his kills from making an aggressive play on the server stairs. Lost going with double hard breach this time. Never mind, they changed it to gridlock last second, but we'll see what they lock in at the end. So we're going back to open area. We're zigzagging around. So this time we have another mismatched lineup of identity. I'm not quite sure exactly what NIP are going for with the lineup. They have Kapkan, which is part of a trap lineup. Cade, which is part of a denial. Warden is kind of like a wild card, kind of fits in everywhere. You have your Solus, which is essentially part of a Roma denial of information. She goes well with people like Mozzie, Mute, Vigil, but is substantially strong enough that she can sit and do all of that on her own. And Wamai, of course, sits into most lineups as just a standout, very good pick. Apparently he's getting his 1.5 back on the MP5K. I think that was one of my favorite weapon combos in the game because I just loved shooting people in the head with that. But yeah, I'm not quite sure what NIP are trying to do with this, but we'll see what the setup is. No castle. They've gotten rid of the castle, which is probably a good thing. And he's gone.
You're just a little bit concerned. Just a little bit concerned that you're going to get a jump scare.
So you guys get a jump.
Was it isn't up? Let's fight them.
So 1B. Keep playing.
So, or on the
You feel like a feeling for them whenever they get onto their defense. Otherwise, it could be easy ceiling for them whenever they get onto their defense. So what way have NIP decided to change their fortune? Well, the only real change I see is Kapkan coming in to bring it.
I thought you couldn't change your bomb site once you've picked it. Okay.
The castle again, which they brought the first time they played here. You've got the Oryx.
Maybe I'm mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that after a rehost, you just have to pick the same site and the same ops because, you know, the prep phase has started.
How they're setting up, I don't see anything so far.
Maybe something was discussed during the break that I didn't catch, but I'm pretty sure that's how it's supposed to be done. I guess we'll have a look at this lineup then. So we're going back to castle. Back to the castle. We have an Oryx, we have a Kapkan, and we have a Mozzie, all for the roam, I'm going to assume. Again, Kapkan sitting here as an odd one out. The EE1D is obviously his trap device. You can put it on a few doors. There actually are a few doors on bank that are insanely good for Kapkan traps just because of the way that the room is laid out. Typically, Kapkan traps on like this part of a doorway here would be really good because typically you approach it from where RHZ's drone is and you're always looking towards the main stairs. You're very rarely going to check this right side because there's nowhere for someone to hide. So it's a good place to put your Kapkan traps there. Again, like smoke, sure. A couple of nitros, so I guess there is a little bit of denial there for plants, but because these are on roamers, it really does matter whether Muzi and Psycho can get back to site. Oryx is just a strong roaming pick, and it kind of ties in for Mozzie, so we have some synergies here between these two, just in the sense that they are both good roamers. Kapkan is an okay roamer, but there are better choices. Castle, I don't really feel like Castle's too hot in this lineup, but we'll see. Smoke for the site, pretty straightforward. Again, if there's a castle barricade, it's there for a reason. Get rid of it as soon as you can. Oh, good lord. Yeah, and he's gone. So, that castle, useless, gone. Offered nothing. Stopped nothing. Lost health, lost map control.
Basically free to get now.
You'll be delighted. 2 minutes into the round, and he still has the chance to have an impact this time around. Makes his way back up on top. I'm starting to see some attackers push through towards that vault side as well. As Logan steps in now towards garage, so it is that garage push that you spoke about, but he will have to make a lot of noise. Flows below. Dot's going to get the opener as Cons is going to fall. Another lion scan coming in, freezes those defenders in place for just a little bit longer.
Oh.
And there's a chance for Logan to get a kill, but he misses it onto Wizard. Eno pulls it back. It's a 4v4.
This is just a 1v1 off. There's just been constant 1v1, 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 1v1. At no point have NIP tried to gather up and gang up on someone from LOSoNe. NIP are very content with just taking a bunch of one-on-ones, 1v1s, 1v1, 1v1. Cons is dead. Psycho's dead. And even .0 from LOSoNe took a 1v1 and now he's dead. Another 1v1.
There's one pulled back. Musi takes him down on the tree.
A 1v1.
To Maya, who's now 7-0 on the server so far in this.
Cap Candle, Lamau.
But
Capcan trap goes off.
Gotta check them doors.
Sight and away from the primary pressure of this push. One player in garage, one in server, and I think they're going to try and get up and get the confirmation on that. But you would have heard the detonation. They might be able to hear him crawling around. Surely they'll be able to. They're so close to it. Logan takes a beating. Source that is just unknown.
So we've had like
But this looks like
5 1v1s this round. I'm gonna count that as a 1v1. We had a 1v1 on site again.
Wizard all alone, and now he gets that confirmation.
So like, I'm just seeing a complete lack of teamwork and coordination between NIP. They're not making anything happen. They're not being proactive. They're not pushing the advantage of being a defender, being inside of the map at the start of the round. They're not pushing the advantage of having the ability to shape and form and create lines of sight and angles and abuse them as a team. Instead, they're just getting shot through walls. They're falling off the position super quick. They're pushing into 1v1s constantly. You have, for example, Oryx that can go up and down hatches. Muzzy, which has a bunch of nitros and drone like denial. And Capcan, who has a nitro himself. And the Capcan traps obviously aren't like super impactful. They're impactful this round because Dash can't look at doors for some reason. Like, I'd love to see Psycho playing like a Legion here. Something that is a pain to play against. Legion, Ella, a Solus would be really good here to combine with that Muzzy so Muzzy can get some hacked drones. There are better choices of operators. And don't even get me started on the castle. This castle is alone in open area. It's something that we were guilty of on Koi. There's a castle in the open area. But at least we played around it. At least we gave Kanto some room so he can play there. We gave Kanto the ability to have backup with an instant. At no point was Kanto ever left in the dirt in open area. We told him to, if the enemy's too quick, just leave and come up the main stairs and start the roam elsewhere, or we'll come and help him. But at the end of the day, I'm just seeing 1v1, 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 1v1. NIP need to start grouping up and start pushing things together to start kicking LOSoNe out of the map. If LOSoNe's content with just taking 1v1s all the time, and they're winning them, obviously, NIP should know better.
What he shows is how they now know he's playing on that hatch. The plant's going to go down inside of lockers, and the crossfire's held below, but he'll go down the main stairs and look how close Sledges, and he's fully aware of where this pressure will arrive, and will be Maya.
Hey Chipster, how you doing, bud?
And gets that final confirmation. It looked promising, it looked it. Unfortunately, they couldn't get it done.
Maya, 2 kills per round average after 4 rounds. Not a bad start to this game for Maya as he is going really, really hard in the early stages. So what would you say?
It is.
It's because I'm old.
There's not a phrase that I
Hallelujah, we actually have a good looking composition here. The bomb site is top 4. Which makes me not want to say what I just said. The composition would be great for open area, but we'll have to see how it plays out. But again, Muzzy and Solus combine very well together. I think actually Warden is a great operator for this bomb site. Oryx is okay for the bomb site. I just don't see why you'd want a Muzzy, Solus, Oryx for CEO. because they don't offer anything innately to this bomb site. This bomb site is special in the sense that you can hold the entire top floor. The entire top floor. It's one of the very few bomb sites in the whole game that allows you to control an entire level of verticality. So I'd expect to see Echo. I'd expect to see Warden. But I'd also like to see things like Wamai, Jaeger, Smoke, Melusi could be good, Valkyrie could be good for Nitros and info below. If you want to put people below, take Pulse. Solus, yes, she can go below here. And I assume she'll be quite good below here. And I'm going to assume that Wizard and Muzi are going to join him. But at that point, you're just putting so many eggs in the downstairs basket that you're leaving Pino and Cans out to dry. This is one of the very few bomb sites in the whole game that allows you to control the entirety of the top floor. But you need a player playing in Kanto. You need a player playing by stock in this area over here. You need preferably a player inside of Janitor. You need a player holding down Meeting or Trump or playing very cheekily by the windows. There's a lot of positions to hold upstairs, so you can keep that control of upstairs. But that's what makes this bomb site so unique and so interesting, and quite a good one to defend on Bank. It's just full of power positions. Removing a player from Kanto is hard. Removing a player from stock is hard. Janitor is hard. Trump guy's kind of easy, depending on how aggressive he is. But you basically got 3 or 4 different power positions up here that you have to absolutely hold, and they deny entry dramatically from the attack. But Mozzie and Oryx and at a push, Solus, not that good for this bomb site. Solus is only going to be good, for fuck's sake. Solus is only going to be good when they're planting. Oh, we're just changing bomb sites again. Why are we? What is going? Why are they allowed to change the bomb site every time they don't like? Oh, what is going on? Time to spend 5 minutes reviewing another lineup for a bomb site. Warden, I get it, I understand it. You had a Monty plant against you the last time. Wamai is good on every bomb site. Again, Kaid could be very good for this bomb site if you're planning to deny some hatches. I think Solus is a pretty good standalone operator, but there are no soft floors to shoot shit through. Apparently so, Chipster. Apparently they are just allowed to change the bomb site every single time they quit out. It's never been like that before. Solus is a good standard operator, but there's no real soft floors where she can like floor bang the bomb carrier or the diffuser carrier, excuse me. Capcan. So there's two good doors for Capcan traps. There's this one by kitchen. You can put them here and they kind of glitch into the fridge a little bit. And here next to cons is another really good place to put your Capcan traps, because again, you're not going to look down here. And this did catch out the lion. But the reason why I'm like, well, why is he not checking that? It's because there's only a couple of good doors to put Capcan traps on, and this is one of them. You should always check this door for a Capcan trap. Same for kitchen. Same for the elevator hallway over here. And to a degree, the beepers here. But it's kind of obvious to see the one on the beepers. Again, I don't agree with the Capcan either. Oryx would be really good here. Mozzie. At least with Mozzie, you'd have some synergy with the Solus. See, Moosey's trying to place the Capcan traps that he gave up. You have to get an angle for it. So I want to point out the OP drone. I've seen this placed a lot in LATAM. It's starting to make its way into the other regions as well. And I spotted this a few times doing VOD review stuff for Koi, for the drones on Bank. This drone here, Oh my god, it's so hard to see, and it sees all the way down the hallway. It is very strong. Steal it for your rank games, steal it for your scrims and officials. All you do is jump in on the bin and then jump in on the flag. It's so easy to place. No one spots it ever.
It's not quite delivered.
Hasn't. Now, I need you to remember the stat line in your head, because obviously we don't know it anymore, but my head is 8-0. That's 4 rounds, 8 and 0. So,
Oh, he gave up trying to place him on the other side of the door. So I'm just going to say, this is a waste. When you drive a drone in here, the first thing, it will literally, its vision of the room, the drone's vision of the room will be blocked by 2 Capcan traps.
So yet to give up his life inside the server. Won every single gold fight that he's been involved in. Can that carry on?
And we're going back to this shield again. Ugh.
Carved through you like a hot knife through butter in the early 4 rounds. And they brought out the solace this time around, so going hunting
So the aim of the Solace is to just sit here and see all the drones.
those cameras. Okay, using an impact to get rid of a drone.
I mean,
You're a fan.
It's better. No, it's more. You know that the yep is not necessarily an indication of approval
I know.
from me. I mean, yeah, sure, to get rid of the drone, it could be a waste. It doesn't really matter. The drone's gone at this stage. On no impacts to work with in case he needs some later on than I have planned. He's not going to need to do that. No verticality, of course, to stop it. So it's not really the biggest waste. And hunt one more drone. Slowly chip into that drone economy. He's got 4 of those so far. Drones.
Let's go rewind here for this. What you're about to see here. If you ever want to min-max your Electro Claw, if you actually go into the corner here and throw it into this corner from the deep corner, it can't get shot from either of the doorways to elevator or from the window. You can get an angle potentially from the window if you fuck up the throw. It's just min-max things. When you're playing at a professional level, you have to squeeze the absolute most juice out of every play you make. And throwing the Capcan trap on the hatch like that leaves you open to just having it shut off. But yeah, I get it. I see why the Solace is in Tethers now. It's purely just drone bitch, essentially. Cons is just going to shoot every drone that attempts to come near Wizard. Loss is looking for picks. That's the reason why it's so slow. There's the pick. So remember when I said before that Nook is just going to sneak up every single basement they possibly can? Here we go again. Let's see if they barricaded the doors. Pretty slow, nothing happening. Just checking if he's in there. 40 seconds. I bet Nook is below waiting for this. Yeah, she is. She's waiting for it. The doors are barricaded, so that's good this time. All they have to do now is make Wizard drop. But it's just going to come down to Maya just to shoot him in the face. Oh. If I'm Nook, I'm ignoring Wizard and I'm walking straight into sight. Doesn't matter, Nook finds him anyway. And it's another round that's won with a 3-man lead. The round is lost about here. So we have essentially a line going across here. We, from what I can see, know that Pino is on hatch drop, Wizard is in elevator, and it looks like Cade is in kitchen. No one has a crossfire. no one can help each other. This is 3 1v1s.
Suffering at the hands of Dots. Who gets that job done? 20 seconds. A little bit of pressure begins to build.
1v1. There is no chance of a trade.
Held by LOSoNe, even more so now.
This is a slap on the wrist for LOSoNe because this is another 1v1 with no chance of a trade. There's a 1v1 behind Pino here, where Wizard goes down to the Nook of Riz, or HZ, whatever he's called. And this was good. That was good from LOSoNe. That was really good. That's a double push, essentially. The only way Pino wins that is if Ace overextends and tries to go for the 1v1 for an extended period of time. Making Pino stand up and move gives Dash the line of sight. On attack, it's all about executing at the same time, and there's a little nuance when you're doing your push, because you have to understand where people's positions are, and if everybody is moving from a different point to a fixed point, then people are going to arrive at that point a little bit later or earlier than others. So you get into situations where you go 3-2-1 push, and because one guy's kind of already further up, he ends up taking a 1v1 too soon, and because the guy that's supposed to be backing him up and trading him is coming from a slightly different angle, and he wasn't as close, he's like a few seconds behind, that's another 1v1 that he's going to get into, and then people are pushing from a different direction for a different fight, and it leads to these weird inconsistencies where you're essentially just having a bunch of 1v1s. And if either of these teams are implementing a 3-2-1 push, 3-2-1 go, that is what is happening here. I'm seeing moments where Los is getting really slick 2v1 peaks, and I'm seeing moments where Los is like, oh, 1v1, 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 and then they get a 2v1 or some shit like that. Just as people are catching up. Because when you get into a firefight, you have to slow down, and it gives the person behind you time to catch up. I'm not seeing that from Nip. What I'm seeing from Nip is a lot of individuality, a lot of solo. And now we see the lineup that NIP wanted for their top floor. So, Aruni can be quite good. Oryx, again, is a little bit of a questionable choice. If you're going to pick an Oryx, I assume he's going to go up and down elevator, up and down stock, or up and down the janitor hatch. I don't see him doing anything too crazy. This is purely probably like flank later, maybe. Echo's good. Warden's good. Again, Muzzy, I'm not too set on the Muzzy. And the Aruni. I guess the Aruni could be okay. It really depends on where Psycho puts the gates. There's a couple of places you could put them, like the janitor doorway, which is quite decent. It stops like a quick push into the room with a flashbang, or it stops you from like being surprised and aided from the door. At least they have to flash it first or jump a drone through the gate to destroy it. But I'm just going to assume he's going to shove them all on the windows. I hope he doesn't.
Been a very long time, Gibby. Very, very, very long time. It feels for anyone who supports the ninjas in pajamas. And they wake it up.
There's an old saying where people would say, you know, they're not as good as they once was, but they can be as good once as they ever were.
Oh no, you can get. It took you a few extra floors to get there, but I like
Well, my tense is wrong. I'm not seeing that from NIP today. This is definitely not the same side. Even though they've got a lot of the same pieces, it's just difficult to watch for NIP fans the way this is going, because LOSoNe are a good side, and NIP fans will still say that those are very good players that they have on the roster.
Why? They're so useless there.
They're having fun with them, even whenever they finally deal with Maya in a 1v1. Other players have picked
Oh.
up the work, and Wizard almost gets the long spawn peek as he looks over from that Canto spot. Well, I think for NIP, that's just been the story of how this game has really gone.
It's just been narrow margins, at least in these ones. And again, we've had 5 rounds in a row, lost one, opening pick, 5 rounds, opening pick conversion to winning that round. 100% on that stat line is very impressive for it out very loudly. Might alert some of those NIP players to some pressure. Dash on the window will try and lock everyone down. Cautious of that window. I wonder, we've already seen one gridlock swing through this window and have a
There's 4 windows and 3 gates, meaning that there will always be a window where a drone can come in for free.
huge impact for a team today. When we see a second one, drone goes out, and well, a very window-heavy play. LOSoNe will move up and open up this canter wall. I'd imagine he's cautious of offense, doesn't want to get caught from B. Pino's lurking forward, and a salvage charge sent deep inside of sight to open that wall on Janitor, and Dash gets the opening pick. That's your Warden gone.
That's an overextended Warden, stepped out too wide and got shot from Trump. Right here. Your Janitor position is now gone.
Now Echo's going to need to move those drones to see if he can identify where any of those attackers are. They need something to get the sides back in their favor. The only thing is with the Warden, the only thing they really had was stuns and the two smokes from Gridlock, but Gridlock's still not making a move onto site. You're seeing the player and Janitor drop and below, and that's Oryx as he will reposition him.
If the plan is to just cover the windows, they're better off with the castle, no? Yeah, Gold Leader. Yes, a castle would be a decent pick here over the Aruni. You wouldn't castle the single windows, though. You'd castle the double windows inside towards where the reception waiting room is, to the sofa room. You'd castle those windows instead. And then you'd usually guard them with a Jaeger device or Wamai discs to make it more costly. Because that is the meta right now, is to make everything have a steeper cost for the attack. The attack has to pay for everything with utility dumps, time, or players' lives. NIP do not lean into that at all. But that's a very good question, or a very good point, rather. Yes, Castle would be a much better choice here.
Himself now over by square. LOSoNe is going to get some damage, but Dash finds another one. Wizard trades back Maya, but Cons is in position to get off the mark. He takes down Dotsier, and now Wizard with a big chance. LOSoNe gets one, Wizard gets another. It's a 2 versus 2. LOSoNe doing even more damage to the side of NIP, but it's now a 2 versus 1. Wizard stepping up through Banana. There's a player holding him on one side. The gridlocks will go off on the other side.
He's been spam pinged, so they know where he is.
Through sight. Now they got to get that case down. Intel being passed back and forward. They know exactly
That's a smoke.
where Wizard is. Weapon. The case is going to go down. There's the smokes. This is a losing battle here on defense for NIP.
This case goes down at 4, still 1-on-1. Gunfight, but that window's been missed. Lots of damage done.
Oh, I'm cringing inside of that. Of all the places to put these there, we literally saw earlier on in the round that all the drones are piling in through the CEO windows, not the connector windows here. Like these windows have been unmolested in terms of utility. No utility has gone anywhere near this at all. What you can do is castle the right window here. If you're inside, we're looking from the windows, POV into sofas, you castle the right window, and then you put a Mozzie Pest under the other window that you don't castle, so that when someone jumps a drone through, it immediately gets hacked. Excuse me. But that is a gross waste of utility.
Lots of damage done, but Gridlock will survive with the extra armor. Wizard knows he's gonna fight a losing battle. One player vaults out, he's got one more to find, but both on a single point of HP.
I don't like that. I don't like this move here from LOSoNe to leave, because you're essentially giving a Wizard a 1v1 and then to a 1v1. What I much rather would have preferred is that they'd stuck it together and fought the 2v1. It doesn't matter how long it takes, Wizard still has to make a move at some point. I think fighting the 2v1 here would have been much better for LOS. It just comes down to more 1v1s, 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 1v1s. Can't punch it or use breach as a sledge. Yeah, exactly.
Remember we had the conversation with Jacob and CDAPS and they
Ponto decisivo.
very convincingly for either of these two sides. Did they think that
Portuguese is an odd language to someone that doesn't speak it. I'm sure it's very fun to speak.
and I was kinda like, no, winning
Ponto decisivo.
7-0 though.
Sounds almost Japanese.
From LOSoNe, especially considering what NIP did
But I guess if you say it with an accent, it probably sounds a little bit more
yesterday. We're
a little bit more exotic. Illegal skin, poggers. You can forfeit an entire round for that, by the way. Illegal castle skin. Wait. I'm sorry, I got stun locked by the illegal skin. Why the fuck are you castling Red Hallway? Okay. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it plays out.
You don't want to manifest it, but let's be fair. LOSoNE on the precipice of a flawless victory here against Mip on Bank.
I don't like this reinforcement. It gives them a pretty safe place to plant.
A map that they beat FaZe on yesterday, and just a lovely reminder for you. There is no fancy stipulation, no extra demands on these teams.
Alright, so let's change it now. Let's flip the switch. Now the round has started. Let's look at LOS's lineup. So LOS have a pretty identifiable lineup. They have heavily leaned into denial. Not only have they castled the bomb site, which is a bit of a head scratcher, I know that they've also castled a little bit of open area, but they are running a Goyo smoke combo with a double nitro, because Cade will probably be on site as well, which means there is a significant lean towards denial of plant. And considering that we can see smoke also being inside of server, I'm going to assume that this is a time burner strat, not a plant denial strat. So this is essentially going to literally burn the time down until it comes a point where Nitros can clutch it out, or there'll be one canister left on Goyo to win the round off of. RX is very good on basement because of all the hatches that he can go up and down. I like that. The castle is the only odd one out here. At this point, I'd say fuck the castle. I'd bring a Solus, a Mozzie, a Legion, something that's very good at roaming.
It is as simple as win and you are in.
Maybe they can save K Claws for the back hatches and not get rushed in red. Potentially. Meanwhile, NIP running Twitch DMR. I like the DMR. There's a few OP things about it that not many people use. Lion, Buck, and the Maverick to get the hatches open. The Thermite. Okay. DMR on Buck. I don't know about that one though.
It's typically one of the strongest sites. You need a lot of coordination to hit it. It's very similar to how you would imagine like Oregon basement, for example. It's a difficult one to hold on or take down.
OP DMR things and I share the love. If you put a laser sight on that DMR specifically, and an angle grip, like you don't like the angle grip is just for backup, but you can basically drop shot with it. The hipfire reticule doesn't bloom very far when you prone. In fact, it gets smaller, and when you shoot, it barely makes the weapon inaccurate. So you can drop shot and spam left click as fast as you can press it, and essentially you have like a laser that can drop shot. You need a laser sight, obviously, but yeah. It doesn't work with other DMRs though. It's only that one. It's only the 417. So, yep. It's time burner. Deny server for as long as you possibly can without sacrificing people. And now it's time to start popping canisters. Okay, so basically the reason why this hallway is castled that we can now see is so that they can contest the hatch more efficiently. I'm going to show it just... Okay, he peeks that way too quick for me. So what you're looking at there is the kitchen wall. Usually the wall is not got a hole in, but you can see when Psycho's death icon is. The angle is in favor of dash. Just because of where Psycho's head is likely going to be. He's probably prone. If he's stood up, he probably can't see Dash, or he can only see Dash's feet, where Dash can see most of his lower body. So the angle is very much in Dash's favor there. But again, 2 1v1s. Said it before, I'll say it again. If there's a castle, get rid of it. It's there for a reason. Burn the time, burn the planter. Unlucky. Unlucky. So essentially, this is we're mainly looking at the 6 rounds of attack from LOSoNe versus the 6 rounds of defense from NIP. From what we can clearly see, LOSoNe are the better team in this matchup. LOSoNe specifically... How do I want to word this? LOSoNe had better identities on their attacking side. Their attacks had much more of a simple, standardized ideology behind it. And they very efficiently dismantled the things that NIP tried to do. Holding open area, shield inside of the elevators, and things like that. They usually relied very heavily on 1 or 2 walls staying reinforced. But the moment those walls were opened, the whole thing just cracks open. Once the castle barricades are gone, the whole thing just falls apart. That's essentially what we got. A lot of the lineups that NIP brought did not have a standardized ideology behind them. It wasn't like, okay, boys, we're leaning into traps this round. Okay, boys, we're leaning into drone denial this round. Okay, we're leaning into denial this round or time burning this round. It reeked of, I'm picking this operator because I like this operator. And with no identity, with no coordination, and with no cohesion, it all crumbles down to 1 versus 1s where the attackers have the advantage because you're being droned, your defenses are being removed, you're being forced to move out of positions or forced into crossfires or forced into line of sights, or alternatively, LOSoNe is double pushing you. From NIP's point of view, they could definitely take the time to reevaluate the operators that they're picking on these defense rounds to have a better idea or a better structure and goal for what their round is. With that in mind, they can then start making plays or not making plays, depending, that help them secure the round win. So, for example, if you have a Solus, a Mozzie, and maybe an Oryx, with those 3 together, you can assume or you can secure positions for Oryx to go up and down hatches without being spotted, which is fucking huge on Bank. It's huge. But because they don't play together, they don't pick ops that synergize well together, you essentially get this solo individualistic mindset where players are playing positions with usually a goal. I'm sure they've been into custom games and figured some things out, but they are very much playing like 5 solo players. It's an unbelievably easy thing to remedy. All you have to do is just think about your operators more before the game. So sit in a custom game, sit in TeamSpeak, Discord, whatever you use, and talk about it. And secondly, start experimenting in scrims on what you can do as a defender. Defenders that play default, defenders that play on shields and hope that walls don't get opened, fail. Because playing default in Siege does not work anymore. It just doesn't work anymore. As a defender, you have to be cunning, smart, independent to a degree, but ultimately relying on your teammates as your own form of utility. It literally falls down to simple things like, there is a lion here. I know he's here because he just shot at me. You over there, come here. We're going to double peek him. And then we're going to take his position, because that will fuck over the attack harder. Without doing things like that, your team stands no chance and gets run over 7-0. Final verdict, was this 7-0 a stomp? Was the score indicative? You know the word I'm trying to say. Did the score really show what the game actually was? And yes, LOSoNe stomped the shit out of NIP. But I think NIP can easily bounce back from this. They just need like a month of scrims with a better ideology behind their practice regime. To LOSoNe, I would say start thinking about your 3-2-1 pushes a little bit harder in terms of who is where when you want to do the pushes. Understand that a Habana that is directly stood on the kitchen door to Skylight is going to have a firefight 10 times faster than a guy in Archives that has to push into a rotate, then through a door. So, figure out your timings a little bit better, and you would have won this even harder than the 7-0. Other than that, good job at dismantling whatever the fuck NIP tried to do. Short and sweet. This one only took about an hour and 15 minutes to go over 7 rounds. There isn't a whole lot to analyze. And I did say that I wanted to keep this one on the lower length of time. I hope this has all been interesting to you guys. I hope that those who only managed to just tune in, I will let you know that this will be going on to my YouTube channel overnight, so it will appear either there tomorrow or the day after. It takes so long to render these things to high definition, so understand that if it is there, it might only be in 360p for 2 or 3 hours, and then it should get its HD. Okay? Cool. Thank God that didn't take forever. I had shit I wanted to do today. I need to edit some more shorts. The shorts resume, on Monday, uploading them. I took a little bit of a break. I'd basically banged out 20 shorts in a really short period of time, and I burnt myself out on them a little bit. So I'm gonna make those resume on Monday. I hope you've enjoyed. I know it's a little shorter than usual, a little sweeter than usual, but either way, I am done. I am tired. I want to get some stuff done. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you very much. There's the follows. If you're not following, make sure you hit the follow button. I'll be doing this again next week on either Friday or Saturday, depending on my schedule. Thank you very much, Meep, for the Twitch Prime. I am going. This will be on YouTube. Good night. I don't have a ending screen still. Let's pretend this says stream will end shortly.